H.O.P.E initiative. And today is February 8th, exactly a week after my birthday. I am officially 45 years old and a week, and I am still talking to you from within the cocoon of prison. And today, I thought that I shared, some thoughts that I had today, what's going on with me, with the feelings that I've been feeling. Right now, the state of Virginia's General Assembly is in session, to determine what laws that they feel is in the best interest of the state of Virginia. And of course, as most prisoners or people who have a direct invested interest in those laws and policies that they make, it's a time of confusion. It could be high hopes and anticipation of laws that could affect people, that could bring us back to our family, or it could be laws that, push us further and lengthens our sentence, just as well as people out in society, waiting, laws that redistricting or traffic stuff. It's all type of things that, people's lives are going to be affected by it, but especially in prison. So I'm going to speak specifically about that. One of the things that we're looking for in Virginia is the law dealing with the second look, which allows the judge to entertain a petition for resentencing, a modification of some of the long sentences that people have given. And the unbelievable amount of time that you have to serve, 85%.
So how much time do you have, Ivan?
Well, I have officially 105 years, and I've served 23 of those years. And so my release date at the stage is 2099.
Oh wow! So what year? How old was you when you actually went in for your first time? I mean, this was actually your first offense, and you got 100 years, right?
Yes, it is. Yes. I was 20 years old when I went in. I'd never been in trouble. Never knew what the prison experience or what it was like to even deal with the criminal justice system. And so a lot of this is a culture shock. I had to believe, like most people, that, and I'm not speaking negative about, police or, judges or criminal justice system, but I had the belief that, right things prevail, the truth prevail, fairness. I had, all those ideas and beliefs inside of me. And my experience, was a little bit different than that, it didn't turn out quite that way, and I ended up with a lot of time and stuff. But every day, I remain optimistic and hopeful that I can allow myself to accept not the sentence that I have, but accept the reality that I'm in right now in order to maintain my sanity.
Do you think that you had a fair sentence?
Oh, no. One of the specific things dealing with my sentence is that Virginia had a law where, it's prohibited for the jury to know about the abolishment of parole. And as a result, a lot of people receive sentences that the jury would think that they didn't have to serve the whole portion of, so they sentence people to a large amount of time. And after the fact, it was found out that the parole had been abolished, and a lot of juries, said that they would have probably sentenced to lesser time. And so the legislative body decided, in order to fix that 5 years after that, that they would make people parole eligible. But the eligibility of parole that they do, it still gives them the discretion whether or not they would release you. So the situation is pretty much still the same. You're still under that long or lengthy sentence.
Wow. So are they saying like you gotta serve the whole 100 years? Because the average person do not live to be 100. So are they saying that you can do like 50% of it, or what, 50 years of it, or like what does it look like?
As it stands right now, my actual release date on the update sheet I received is 2099. So that's the anticipated release. It can't be short unless they increase the amount of good time credits you can get, or good behavior. But they don't offer that. As of right now, with the laws as they stand, my physical life will expire before I reach that date. unless I live to be 120,
So what
130.
so what can we do as listeners to be able to bring you home? Because we don't, I mean, this, everyone in life make a mistake, right? And so I
Yeah.
feel like in your defense, your first time ever getting into any type of anything, you get in and you get 100 years. They just throw the book at you, you know. And so
Yeah.
what do you want people on the outside to know how they can help you?
Well, legal wise, go for parole. Community support is important. For people in Virginia right now, them voting for things that the support prison reform that could affect. Um, like I mentioned, that one bill, the second look. They also have an issue with trying to expand the enhanced credits, the good time credits that we can earn to violent offenders. They excluded people with violent charges or certain classified people, and if they expand that, then yeah. But as of right now, just community support, letters of support to the parole board. If you have programs that say, mentoring programs or whatever, those things are beneficial, can help.
Also, we are looking for anybody who want to join this podcast and join this conversation because we want to get justice served. I mean, going in at 20 today, right now, you're 45 years old. And I know you're not the same person that you was at 20.
Oh
Can you
my God,
elaborate
let
on
me.
that more?
Oh yeah, no question. I didn't even understand life, and I'm gonna do my best to try to articulate that. But it's like at that age and stuff. I can't speak for everybody, but for me, it was like you living in a cloud or a bubble. Um, Nothing outside of what you think you understand and what you know has relevance. People, they talk to you, of course, parents, loved ones, friends. People try to give you advice and guide you and lead you in the direction of maybe to help you avoid different things. But it's difficult to comprehend and receive it. But for me, when I got locked up at 20 years old, it was such a shock on my system that it made me question everything about life. So I literally did what people call soul searches. And for me, that entailed reviewing my whole life, trying to pinpoint possible points where I could have been more receptive, things that I could have missed, what I can do to improve it. I never want to find myself in a predicament where I could have my life taken away from me. And the thought of never being able to have kids, a family, uh, being independent as a man, something that I started to come into understanding what it feels like, the sense of pride to know you do things to contribute and that you have a sense of value. So my self-esteem and who I see myself and all these things are things that I started to realize as the years passed by, and the threat of never experiencing that allowed me to really truly still be to appreciate the value of it. So, for me, that's been my experience emotionally and mentally.
So what do you think about you right now? You have the first ever podcast and you're being able to get your voice heard from prison. So what do you think about podcasting? Like, are you loving the thought of having a podcast right now? Like, what's your feeling about doing this podcast?
Uh, I think it's a wonderful opportunity. I've always wanted to be able to be understood beyond the barriers that seem to hinder people from actually connecting with people, whether it be, because of race or physical appearance, age, gender, circumstance, or status. But I guess, being able, to podcast, it strips those things away and people can only judge or perceive you by, the content that they can connect with. And so it's the closest thing that I can experience or say a heart-to-heart communication. And for me, being in a situation where I feel so alienated, not only just from society, but sometimes from the very people that I'm around, it gives me opportunity to come out of it and to nurture that aspect and the part of me that yearns to connect and be understood and to understand.
Absolutely. Definitely agree. The power of podcasting is, I mean, it's amazing. And so when you went in, we had pagers. So you never even seen a cell phone yet.
Not the modern cell phones. When I went in, I had a side view pager, and they had the Motorola flip phones. It's not funny, but it's sad. But that's the reality of it. And being in prison, one thing I've paid attention to for myself is that the technology that we are exposed to, or lack of exposure, it creates a weird feeling like you know you in the world or part of it, but you just don't feel like you really connect with it. And you see the different devices and gadgets and things. So that's been something that I've tried to combat by reading magazines, watching TV, talking to people about. So to keep myself in some sense connected in a normal way.
So Dr. Tina Ramsey commented, and thank you all for tuning in. She said, thank you for sharing your story with Sheree on CTR Media Network. And so we are broadcasting live on CTR Media Network. This is Ivan's own podcast. It's called the Prison Hope Initiative. We want to reach people who are either in the situation or who people on the outside that maybe can help. If it's a lot of people and politicians. He need support from politicians. Matter of fact, I'm gonna let you tell them. You tell them what type of people you looking for to support to help you to bring you home so you can be free.
Anyone whose heart can understand the youth and the ignorance that we all have at the different ages and stages of our life, and someone who has written. You have 1 minute remaining. So anyone that's willing and able to help, I ask you, please, just think of yourself and the possibility.
And the way that you can help is absolutely the way that you can help is you can spread the message, spread the word. We're gonna share out this podcast. That is the main thing. Ivan will be coming on every week and sharing his thoughts and what's going on and how from the inside. Okay, his voice is on the outside, and we're gonna bring his body on the outside. I know this call is getting ready to end, Ivan. So I love you so much, cousin. I love you. You know you like a brother. We was raised together. Grandmama put us in the same house. And so
I love you, and thank you all for listening and hearing my voice and connecting with me. And I appreciate it. And I'll see you next week.
And give a shout out to the family, your mom, your dad, your sister.
Hey, Mom, Dad, Leslie. Thank you for using PTL.
Sorry, y'all. The podcast has ended. As you know, when they are incarcerated, we can only have a certain amount of time to be able to talk to our loved ones. But we decided to go a step farther and be able to, show that this is a man that needs to come home. He was incarcerated from 20 years old. The first time he ever had any type of anything with the police. You get what I'm saying? And they literally gave him over 100 years. And as you know, if we don't do anything, he's gonna die in there. And we don't want to see that. I don't want him to die in there. So we're gonna continue this podcast every week. And I hope that you hear through his situation that he has life, and and I hope that you can hear how amazing he is, because like I said, we was raised in the same house, and I wish I could have kept him in Tennessee. If I just could have kept him in the state of Tennessee, if we could turn the hands of time, he would never go to Virginia, because as a black man going to Virginia, they gave him 100 years. And that's the reality for something that he didn't even, it's not even, he didn't even do. So, all right, I'm gonna end this podcast today. Thank you all for listening. Share it out if you can. Please share it out. As he was closing, he was saying hello to his mom, his dad, and his sister. So it's so important that we support our loved ones that's on the inside and that we be the advocate for them as well. And on that note, I'm his cousin, Sheree Moore, the founder of She Trekking, and we're out.